You okay here? In today's world, an MBA isn't just helpful, it's non-negotiable. MBA. My first job taught me how to execute. My MBA taught me why we execute the way we do. Before, I was focused on my KRAs. After my MBA, I could connect market shifts to boardroom decisions. That's when growth really started to feel strategic. In today's world, your experience can take you only so far. But if you want to grow across functions, industries, or geographies, an MBA isn't just helpful, it's non-negotiable.
Country, believe me. Give me holy man and let's work together. Two things I ask of you tonight. Ita, Raka Hebau, let's walk one time. Or Yumi, work together. Ita, Gaukara, Hebau. And I want to invite His Royal Highness to address us, my people. I will be with you all the time. Let's keep these two things tonight. 16 is here today. The Somara generation and his compatriots from the kitchen of Maurikiki, where Lady Elizabeth baked the bully beef to discuss the birth of our country in the 65 and 66 and 67, to the birth of Pangupati in 13 June 1967, and to the birth of our country in 16th September 1975. They united the most diverse nation on earth, and they walked together, and they worked together. Two things I ask of us today. Going forward, let's work together, and let's work together. His Royal Highness, I present to you, your people, on our 50th anniversary of our democracy and our continued union as a sovereign state called Papua New Guinea. Please, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for his speech, His Royal Highness, Prince Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh.
Prime Minister. Prime Minister, it is a very great pleasure to be able to join you here on your 50th anniversary of your independence and nationhood. And can I just say thank you for the wonderful welcome that I've received over the last few days. It has been very, very special. Thank you. And now I know why it is that it has taken me so long to get here, and why all the rest of my family have wanted to come here first. Because you've always shown them what a fabulous country this is, and you've always given us a great welcome. And as His Majesty said, I am me lick lick barata belong Mr. Quinn. What has struck me over the last few days is the enthusiasm you have for the monarchy and your loyalty to King Charles. And I know that you will have enjoyed the message that he gave for you this evening, a very personal message. And I want to assure you that in spite of the distance that we may be from you and the only occasional visits, both His Majesty and all my family take a very great interest in the fortunes of this country. And we are very proud of what you have done in this country. And well done. And I'm delighted that so many other realms and members of the Commonwealth and the Pacific have joined you here in these celebrations. It means a great deal to all of us that you are here as a family. And can I also just say thank you? Thank you to all the performers and all the work that's gone in this evening. It is spectacular, and it is a real show of what a fantastically diverse country this is. So thank you, everybody, and I look forward to being able to come back again.
Good night. Look at me, Black Goods. Happy 50th anniversary to my country. I love you all.
Tonight we gather to honour and acknowledge those who laid the foundation stones of our nation. It began more than a decade before independence.
It's about time for wisdom. Let me ask you, my people, follow. What have I got? Because of nothing.
Looking back, in 61, when I first enlisted in the independent state of Papua New Guinea and its flag and its national anthem and its constitution, I did not dream that I would be able to live through those turmoil days to witness this.
We acknowledge the members of our first House of Assembly, the 44 who were chosen by the people in the first democratic elections in this land in 1964. Represented tonight by the descendants of Sir John Guise, Milne Bay, later Papua New Guinea's first Governor-General, Sir Barry Holloway, Eastern Highlands, later Papua New Guinea's first Speaker of Parliament, Zure Makili Zurenwo, Finchafen Morobe, Matthias Tollerman, Rabaul, East New Britain, Sir Peter Luce, East Sepik, Sir Tay Abal, first member for Wabag. We acknowledge the architects of our nation's extraordinary constitution, securing sovereignty of the people by the people. Represented tonight by the descendants of lawyer and philosopher Bernard Narakobi, and the women interpreters on the committee who bridged the language gaps as our nation's constitution was spoken to life, then written into form. Represented by the descendants of Hilan Pora Sikot. We acknowledge the other trailblazing Papua New Guinea women who cleared a path for a road that is still being laid.
For a long time, women were made inferior, but just because they were made inferior, we don't have to make ourselves inferior.
Dame Josephine Abijah, Central, the first Papua New Guinea woman ever elected to Parliament. Represented by two daughters of this land, continuing to forge a place for women's voices in nation building. We acknowledge the creators of our national symbols, the Papua New Guinea emblem, the kundu, spear and the kumu, conceptualized in Oraraka village Sialum Morobe and submitted by Chief Biaro Bongiong, who presented it to Michael Samara in 1971. Chief Bongiong is represented by his daughter, Saramau Biaro. And the Papua New Guinea flag, designed by 15-year-old Susan Karike of Gov Province, on a page torn from her school exercise book, tonight represented by her granddaughter, Susan Huhume.
What does the word independence mean?
It means freedom. It means not to depend on someone.
Independence in English means looking after ourselves.
We acknowledge the members of our last House of Assembly from 1972, 101 of our history's finest, who led us into nationhood on the 16th of September 1975, becoming our first national parliament. Represented by the descendants of Sir Ruben Taureka Rigo Abao, Sir Ebia Olewale, South Fly, Sir Yambake Oku, Chimbu, Sir Julius Chan, Namatanai, Grand Chief Sir Michael Samara Isipi, the first Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea.
A lot of people in this country thought, well, we wouldn't be able to do it. They were talking in terms of 2 or 3 decades, while I was talking in terms of few years.
And with us tonight, 2 of our national living treasures. John Momus Bougainville, Chief Architect of the Constitution as Chair of the Constitutional Planning Committee. And Sir John Coupleton, Rabaul, East New Britain, Leader of the Matungan Association, Member of the First House of Assembly and the First National Parliament.
This is our country, we will live here, we will die here. So the government must be ours.
Ladies and gentlemen, our founders.
In the beginning, there was darkness, and then there was light. All things begin in the stars. The stories and the songs of the Kumul and the Garamut. The very idea of paradise began in the sky before it became the dreams of children. The stars are the bright tattoos on the skin of night. The Southern Cross shows the markings of heaven to lead the Balitauna on the voyage across the sea. Hisiubata, the star of love and peace, rises to break the darkness and bring the dawn of a new day. It's the one who guided the Vanagi home from the waters of night. The Kumul sings at dawn to the light of that morning star, the same star that guided Edaisiabo. Dirava, the spirit of the sea, took the shape of an eel. It spoke to Edaisiabo. It said, "Tie your canoes together and rise the Pandana sails towards the sky. Let them catch the wind. Sail west in this great Lakatoi. Take the uro your wife made from the earth. Trade them with the world that lies beyond. And bring home to share the sago and the feathers of freedom."
Rapawana pipia, miruluna maberage. aku gererena kuluna maberage Ekubanu le bana kone bigina Ekukone banu gara kone Kamarama nama kamu bagi Urena lagi nai mukuna au nai Ekwara wai age nai Kibu ebu nai vai venira wai E ora oye au gamabe ai abuna Mauro Mauro Davarata udia Kalo akalo Aitamasi
The spirit of the sea took Edaisiabo deeper than any man had been before. There in the darkness and the chaos was born the vision of the future, and the bird with the plumes of fire began to dance. As we do today, as we will tomorrow, dancing like the bird that chose its paradise on earth, Papua New Guinea.
From Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, this is the BBC World Service. This multi-ethnic, multiracial nation has gone from rural poverty to urban affluence in 2 generations. It trades with China and the US, but as they clash, which way will it turn? This Southeast Asian nation is divided into East and West by the South China Sea. It's an heir to immigration from India and China and beyond. And it's a country where Islam is dominant, but freedom of worship is guaranteed by the constitution. Modernity has come at a rush to Malaysia, but growth has brought many questions. How to distribute the riches more equally, how to govern without the stain of corruption, and how to navigate the clash of the great powers, China and the US. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has said of Malaysia, we have to emerge as a mature democracy. But as of now, there are still some subjects which are judged too sensitive for us to address directly in open debate. But we have an audience who have freely offered challenging questions on the issues and a panel very ready to address them. Our panel: Senator Dr. Fuzia Salah is Secretary-General of the Prime Minister's PKR party and Deputy Minister for Trade. Dr. Tricia Yeo is Associate Professor of Practice at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia's School of Politics and International Relations. Wan Ahmad is a member of the National Assembly, a former Minister for National Unity, and the opposition's spokesman on foreign affairs. Our final guest is Vilashini Somya, head of the Gender Studies programme at the University of Malaysia. She is an anthropologist, long specialising in the lives of marginalised people in East Malaysia, where she comes from. Your panel. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go to our first question, and it comes from Noor. Good evening.
Good evening, Nurul Najah, but I put here Noor. Okay, my question is, as we can observe now, most bosses in Malaysian media corporations are men. Where are the women? Is it because we're too emotional? Men get emotional too, so what are your thoughts? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm delighted to say the Director of News at the BBC is a woman, although the Director General is a man. 14% of seats in Parliament here in Malaysia are held by women, and women have a much lower workforce participation rate. Vilashini Somya, Head of Gender Studies.
That was targeted.
Yeah, it was. I'm sorry.
You could have started there. You had to go straight to a woman. Thanks so much for that question, Noor. I mean, I was waiting for it. Fair enough. I mean, this obviously is the conversation we have all the time, right? Where are the women, right? I also understand what the reality is. The reality is you got to go home, cook for your husband, cook for your wife, press his pimples out, right? Go and do, your second job, your second hustle on what do you call your online job, and so on and so forth. And the triple burden of living just consumes you. And this is why we can't get 30% in, which, by the way, is a number that I hate. Personally, I hate.
So 30% in Parliament?
30% in Parliament, 30% anywhere. The moment you put that number, it's going to be a problem, because it also means to say my 100% is equivalent to your 30% participation.
Would you like to see sort of formal policies like affirmative action?
Of course.
You would like to see that?
Of course I would like to see that.
Thank you. I am going to come to the audience on this. I warn you now. I'm going to go to the lone man on our panel, Wan Ahmed. What are your thoughts? Where are the women?
Well, if you were to notice, the numbers of female students studying in higher educations in Malaysia are outnumbering the male. Maybe the opportunities in certain sectors are quite limited, especially politics. Some of the reason they gave, especially in rural areas or in conservative area, if you feel woman candidate, the chances of winning might be lower than the male candidates. So this must be corrected. With what? Education. Education to the masses that women and female and male politicians or assemblymen or assemblywomen in that matter are equal in their abilities.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hold on, Johnny. I really need
I'm going to go to the other members of the panel first, Vilashini.
Okay.
I just really.
Just let the other members.
I'll let you
of the
get
panel
away
have a
with
word
this for
first.
5 seconds, okay?
I promise I will come back to you, okay? I promise. Trisha.
So I think that there are extremely high barriers for women to enter politics. The political culture is really not something that, in Malaysia specifically, that women can actually endear themselves to. The politicians, the real conversations and the real meetings happen at night, when the women are supposed to be home taking care of the children and cooking and taking care of the home. The cost of politics is very high. Campaigning costs are very high. And of course, this one goes without saying across the board, not just in politics, but also the support system. Malaysia is amongst the lowest returning rates of women to work. So we have a high rate in the 20s, but once women have children and you have a home to take care of, they don't come back to work. I'm very proud to say that I have a strong support system. So thank you to my husband, who's somewhere here, and my family, to allow me to do the work that I'm doing and to be here tonight to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we thank your husband too. Thank you very much. Senator Fuzia Saleh, you have ascended to a relatively high position in the political system, despite all the obstacles. Can you talk about that and about how difficult it has been?
I must say that it has been very difficult. And a woman has got to be twice as good as men, to be acknowledged even as good. The glass ceiling does exist. It's not easy. And politics is the most difficult. Because like Tricia said, campaigning is difficult. You have to lobby, you have to sit down in coffee shops, you have to raise the funds. You have to have a very good support system. And I'm also very thankful. My husband and my family has always been very supportive. In fact, he's the one who propelled me forward. There are times when I feel like giving up. And when I started, the women were happy making tea during meetings. They were happy taking charge of committees like food and drinks and decorations for events. And we changed all of that. And we have over the years, especially now in my position, we have brought some affirmative action. Recently, during the Congress, we achieved 42% of women delegates.
Thank you very much. Vilasini has been jigging up and down in her chair, shaking her head. You wanted to add a little.
No, I didn't mean any disrespect. I just want to say this. I understand Trisha and Senator coming in here and really, making it important to point out the places in which men have supported them. But herein lies the problem for me. We constantly go back to this celebratory language for this very minimal participation of men. We constantly we amplify the places, and I'm sorry, men, we over-amplify the places in which you do this much. What you need to be is an ally. What you need to understand is that if you're talking about equality, it's literally that. And so it's not about, thank you very much, men, for doing this amount. It is, come on, men, you can do more. That's the position I want to take. Sorry, yeah.
I'm going to take it to you. Okay. Lots of passion here. I want to hear, if I could, from the audience. Noor, can I start with you? You asked the question.
I've been working with the PR consultancy before this. I work a lot with a lot of media conglomerates, media corporations. A lot of bosses are all men. So I'm like, wow, where's the woman? But I hope in 10 years, 20 years to come, this can be changed.
Thank you, Noor. Thank you very much. From other members of the audience, that point, if you could, would you like to see formal change? I see a lady dressed in white, just here.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Tamina. I am a woman in media. I feel we need policies that positively state that men need to be involved in raising families, that men also need to be the ones to step up, so that we not only encourage the men already doing this, we also acknowledge single fathers, but we also acknowledge fathers who are partners in equitable home partnerships.
Thank you very much. Other thoughts on this? I see lady in the front row there.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
and welcome.
my name is Sulin. I'm the editor-in-chief of Co Blue, which is a health news website. And frankly, I'm
I'm just disgusted with a lot of women in politics right now. I mean, no offense to YB Fuja Saleh, I don't really follow your personal politics.
Nothing
so
personal.
nothing on you. It's just that across party lines, whether government parties or opposition parties, women behave exactly like men. You don't do the right thing. Everything you do is just to chase positions of power, and for what? Because you don't care about the people at all. So that's why I feel like there's no point in trying to have affirmative action to get more women in politics if you're going to behave exactly like men.
Thank you very much, madam. And sir, thank you. And after him, lady in blue. Sir.
Yeah, I just want to comment on the one Ahmad Faisal's statement saying that women, there are more female students than male students in the university, because I teach at the university. It is true. So the reality is that when we have more women graduated from the university and then they go into the workforce, etc., they are paid lower than their male counterpart, and that makes them feel disinterested to pursue working and decided to choose being a housewife and etc.
Okay, thank you very much. Lady just there, if you would.
Hasween, and I tend to agree with the lady in front of me just now. I'm also in media. I have my own show. My head of current affairs and news is also a woman, very powerful. So I don't think that it's a problem about getting women into the workforce. And I feel that with affirmative action policies, it actually reduces our talents, because it feels like we need a lifeline to get ahead. Okay. So I'd rather merit all the way.
Thank you very much indeed.
That's the way.
Thank you. We are going to go straight on to our next question, and it comes from Hema. I hope I've pronounced that correctly.
Hi, I'm Hema.
Close. Forgive me.
Very close. So my question is, what are your thoughts on the significant disparity in wealth between the T20 and the rest of Malaysians?
And just to clarify, the T20, the top 20%?
The top 20, the top 20 bands. So we've got 3 bands in Malaysia, and this is the top 20 versus the rest of us.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Just a little bit of statistics to back us up here. The richest 10% in Malaysia take 38.4% of income. The poorest 10% take 1.7% of income. Can I start with Wan Ahmed from the opposition?
Well, I think one of the major issues would be the problem of access to resources, especially education. Those who being raised in the rural areas, like in my constituency, compared to those who study here in Klang Valley, are definitely having different access to quality education in terms of teachers, materials, and support system. So until and unless those gaps being addressed, we will always face these issues of class war between those who have and those who have not. Yeah, and thank God. I mean, for the past 50 years at least, the government. This credit goes to the Barisan Nasional government. They had managed to at least reduce those gaps through the new economic policy. It might not be perfect, but at least it worked to a certain extent, because I'm part of the recipient of those policies.
And the new economic policy, for those that don't know it,
but of course,
policy that particularly favoured what are sometimes called ethnic Malays, who were economically disadvantaged previously.
Yeah, but of course, economy is not static. Things have changed. We have new challenges ahead, and definitely those gaps have been is getting wider in certain aspects. For example, in technology. So, and when it comes to these sort of issues, I believe the government has to come up with a policy to address those gaps.
Thank you very much. Trisha Yeo from the Department of Politics in Malaysia here. The question is about significant disparity of wealth. One answer, education, but there are also structural solutions, aren't there, as well?
Yes, so our household debt to GDP ratio in Malaysia is among the highest in Asia Pacific, all right? So it's about 69.3%. But beyond that statistic, what constitutes the debt? Where are Malaysians' debt? Where does it come from? Mostly comes from loans, right? Loans for housing, loans for motor vehicles. So the question for me would be, is there a better question to ask about policy around the price of automobiles, which, by the way, Malaysia has very highly inflated costs of vehicles, and housing. Housing policy is something that really needs to be addressed as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator Fuzia Saleh, Minister of Trade and Cost of Living.
One of the findings when we got into government, or we knew about it even before that, was that we have difficulties of identifying where they are, who they are, what they need. We do not have one data center.
Can I make this may sound like a cheap political point, and I'm really not trying to make that, but some people would say when you have the richest 10% taking almost 40% of income, if you taxed them more, you could redistribute that money to poorer people.
Yes, but it also gets you very unpopular because even at the moment, yeah.
Please.
But I do